Farmers in Arkansas are facing some financial difficulties as a result of President Donald Trump's terrible trade policies. Okay. The irony, of course, is that many of them had voted for Trump. Not surprising. People like Kenny Qualls, a farmer from Lake City, okay, who recently told a local news outlet that, quote, right now, there is no optimism. There's no way to look at a profit. Wow. And added, a lot of people are going to be getting out. You know, we always look for the next year, but the next year is not promising anything better. It's taken away hope for a lot of people. That's right. So a lot of farmers, Arkansas, absolutely no hope as a result of Trump's his trade wars. So, and by the way, Kenny's not alone. U.S. farm debt is now expected to reach $561.8 billion by the end of this year, which is a 3.7% increase from the previous year. So I'm not saying farmers were doing amazing before, but they are doing much worse now. In Arkansas alone, in this just the first 3 months of the year, you had 15 farm Chapter 12 bankruptcies. Okay, that is double the number of bankruptcies in the previous year. But we had that in just the first quarter. Yikes, that's not good. And especially for a state where agriculture brings in about $16 billion annually. So yeah, it's a $16 billion industry per year, and oof, not doing well. Not doing well, okay? Trump's policies are hitting extremely hard. And farmers say that, look, the reason that we're doing so badly is, well, I mean, we've been hit by extreme weather, driven by climate change, just saying, as well as tariffs that have seen their crops both decimated and without international buyers. In fact, Paul McAnally of Southern Bancorp told local K8 News, quote, where we are needing help is some kind of federal assistance, i.e. a handout. So they're begging for handouts, let's be honest, bailouts. We started in 2023 and 2024 being off years. Some farmers had to refinance in 25 for this year to be able to stay in business and right the ship. Except that, well, the ship is not righting at all. The ship is sinking. Okay, we're going full Titanic on this one. All right, it's going right down. First, there were things that they couldn't do anything about that contributed to this. Of course, you had severe flooding that happened back in April of this year. 10 people died, and it also caused about $78 million in crop damage. Not good. Not good. But of course, that by itself, very tragic, very damaging, okay? But you add in then the icing to this shit cake, which is Donald Trump's trade war with China. Of course. Because you see Chinese customers who typically purchase about half of Arkansas's soybean crops decided, well, we're not going to do that anymore if you're going to put a whole bunch of tariffs on us. And that's what happened. So they're not doing business with U.S. farmers anymore. And that, of course, is absolutely devastating to these very same farmers. Chinese import actually account for approximately 1/10 of all U.S. agricultural outputs. Specifically, though, they do a lot of business with the soybean farmers. China, however, has decided we're going to go find new markets. Okay, we're not going to buy from U.S. soybean farmers anymore because of Donald Trump. So we're going to go and get some of our soybeans now from Argentina. That's right, Argentina, who, you know, we just gave, what, a $40 billion bailout to? Great. Yeah, awesome. Now, there's more, though, okay? Farmers are also dealing with increased prices on everything, just like everybody else, Okay. Now, their prices come from seed, the increased costs of seed, as well as machinery and farm labor. That's right. You see, Trump has been doing ICE raids across the country. Okay. A lot of those ICE raids have hit the agricultural sector pretty damn hard. Okay. Because there, again, a lot of labor, a lot of the farm labor is immigrants. Something around 40% of all agricultural workers were undocumented immigrants. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. And so, well, now who's left to pick the crops? Well, why don't Americans do it? Americans ain't clamoring to fill them jobs, okay? And the ones who might do so, they're not going to work for the typically low wages that farms offer. And so, well, that's going to impact the farmers even more because then they're going to be forced to pay more for labor. And they're already going under. So, not good at all. In fact, this year, speaking of labor, there's a shortfall in agriculture that is expected to exceed 400,000 jobs, according to Michael Marsh, president and CEO of the National Council of Agricultural Employers. But again, you can say, well, why? Okay, so if Americans won't do it, and we can't get the immigrants over, and by the way, they also can't get temporary farm workers because the government's shut down, so they're not issuing those temporary H-2A visas. And so, can't do that either. Oh no. Well, you might say, okay, well, why don't we get the robots to do it? Automation. That'll solve it. No, it won't. No, AI ain't working the fields. It's not going to happen. Okay, we don't have the technology for that. Marsh said, point blank, technology will not fill this need. No kidding. No kidding. Now, the result of all of this, of course, is absolute economic disaster. According to McAnally, up to 1/3 of Kansas farmers could face bankruptcy. There's more. CEO of Ag Heritage Farm Credit Services says that multiple years of losses, high input costs, and ongoing global uncertainty means that farmers in Arkansas face a critical year ahead. He said, quote, "This is the worst I've seen since the mid-1980s from a profitability standpoint." Yeah. And look, there was recently a hearing before the House Agriculture, Forestry, and National Resources Subcommittee. And in it, farmers sounded off about how bad things have gotten for them. One farmer, Sidney Robinette, told the group that the stress of managing this downturn is the kind that doesn't go away at the end of the day. Quote, "It gets in bed with you." Ooh, and not in the kinky way either. Not in the good way.
Sexual anarchy.
No, there's none of that going on here, okay? In fact, he said, sometimes it's better to be awake than it is to sleep at night, because when I'm awake, I can think of what's going on today. The bad dreams happen at night. The bad dreams are going out of business. The bad dreams are the uncertainty. Lots of bad dreams going on there. But here's the thing about this, okay? A lot of you voted for it. Look, the majority of farmers voted for Trump. Now, I think that they would have known better, should have known better, but apparently didn't. Look, there are farmers, by the way, who didn't vote for Trump. And I think it's important to point out that not all farmers voted for Trump. There's a lot of farmers that knew better, okay? And they were like, no, look at what he did last time to us, okay? Remember, Trump 1.0, he slapped tariffs on China then too, and had to end up bailing out the farmers because they lost their, contracts. They weren't able to export as much, okay, because of Trump's attempt at doing a trade war the first time. They learned, but the majority of farmers this time didn't, okay? And look, of course, there is a good chance that he's going to bail out the farmers. I mean, he certainly talked about it. That said, It's not going to really help them long term if their customer base disappears. And it certainly looks like it has happened already. Okay. All of this means there will be even more farm bankruptcies, which may be the goal. Why do I say that? Why would Trump want to bankrupt the people who voted for him? I mean, why wouldn't he? It's Trump. But I'm going to give you a more substantial reason here, right? Acre Trader. That is the company owned by J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel. Very much invested, at least they are, in this company. And what did they do? They buy up distressed farms, okay? Farms that have gone bankrupt or are going bankrupt. They buy them out. And then they lease them out to farmers. Basically, they're bringing back serfdom. They're bringing back the sharecroppers. And so there you go. And yeah, as more and more farms go bankrupt and more farmers lose their livelihoods, they're also going to not get a bailout, but are going to get bought out, which means consolidation of our food system, which is never a good thing, as well as, well, these farms being rented back to them. So here comes the sharecropping, baby. These farmers, look, they're apparently, and it's ironic, right? Because they voted for this, and they're going to be the first to find out what Trump actually meant by making America great again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.